Why are you always in a mood? 4.2 standard form. All right, so we're going to continue this chapter working with parabolas, but this time we're going to, instead of putting it in vertex form, which is that, we're going to change it to standard form. All right, but I'll give you a little reminder of vertex form. Remember, the vertex of a parabola is, ooh, that's bad, right where it changes direction, and it's this point and this point. Vertex is equal to h comma k. We did that last section. And then a is kind of how wide the parabola opens. Remember, the smaller the a, the wider it gets. The bigger the a, the more narrow it gets. All right, and so this section we're going to focus on a different form of parabolas, and that's standard form. Here it is, standard form. You might look familiar to you. It's y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. It's a quadratic equation. The a and the b and the c are just coefficients, but they are important. They make they decide on what the parabola looks like. So let's go ahead and try to analyze this formula. All right, so here we have an example. If you notice, it is in vertex form. If I want to analyze it, the vertex is 3, 4. And then it's a happy face parabola because this is a positive 2. So, but it's not asking us to graph yet, so we don't have to worry about the graph. But we do have to change it to standard form. Just like when we had straight lines, you had slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and then standard form, and you were able to change it back and forth. So that's what we're going to do with parabolas as well. We're going to change this to get standard form. All right, so the first thing you do, kind of like PEMDAS, order of operations, you're going to go ahead and do parentheses first, but x minus 3, you can't do anything about it. Next thing is you're going to do exponents, so square. Remember, you're only squaring this part. A common mistake when people square that is they think, oh, all you got to do is x squared minus 9. You just distribute the square. That is not good. Do not do that. A lot of people think that's the case, but that is not the case. What you're supposed to do is write it twice. Notice I have x minus 3, but then I wrote it twice. And that's what the squared means, is you're going to have to write it twice. And when you write it out twice, what do you think you have to do? You have to distribute. You FOIL. FOIL first, outside, inside, last. Okay, that was from Algebra 1. Hopefully you remember that. So when you do that, you get something that looks like this. First, x times x is x squared, and then x times negative 3, and then x times negative 3, and then negative 3 times negative 3. Combine like terms. Negative 3x minus 3x is negative 6x. And then from there, you're going to distribute the 2 into each one. There we have it. Oh, that's supposed to be 18, not 19. That's bad. And then I'm sure if I add the 4 at the very end, I think the PowerPoint is going to give us the wrong answer. Yeah, if I add 18 with 4, I get 22. All right, a little mistake on my part, but we caught it right now, so that is good. And so there it is, standard form, y equals 2x squared minus 12x plus 22. Okay, your A is the 2, your B is negative 12, and your C is positive 22 in standard form. Pretty nice. Let's move on and go the other way. What if I give your equation in standard form, and then I ask you to go back to vertex form? That can get a little bit tricky. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out how we can do that with the help of a little formula. Here's the formula. To find the vertex when it's given in standard form, to find the x part of the vertex, you know how you have the vertex and then parentheses. This negative b over 2a is the x part. And then I'll show you how to find the y part in just a little bit. All right, negative b over 2a. That's important. You're going to use that a lot, so memorize it. X equals negative b over 2a. So here is that equation again. We have to put it in in vertex form. It is now in standard form. All right, so the formula was to find the vertex is negative b over 2a. Remember in this, the a is 1, the number in the very front. The b is negative 10, and then our c is also negative 10. All right, so we got A, B, C. So we just plug in to the negative b over 2a. Negative, it's a double negative, so we got a negative, and then the b is also negative, so negative with the negative, be careful. All over 2a, and in this case our a is 1. Simplify it a little bit. A negative with a negative makes it a positive, and then divide. The x part is 5. All right, so that's part of the vertex. It's only half of the vertex. How do we get the other half, the y part? Well, all you got to do is take this x. Let's erase some of this stuff. All you got to do is take the x, the 5, and plug it into this x and this x. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Plugged in the 5 into the x and then the other x. We have this. Simplify it. 5 squared is 25 minus 50 minus 10. Combine all of those together. We get y equals 35. And there is our vertex, 5, negative 35. All right, so that's the vertex. But now we have to put it in vertex form. That's the original vertex form. Let's plug in everything we know. Dun, da, da, da. Our h goes here. Our y goes here. And then our a. How did I get 1 for a? Remember from the very beginning? Our a was 1. All right? And so that's how you put it in vertex form. It's a lot of steps, but hopefully with some practice, you'll get it down pretty smoothly. This was a pretty simple example just because all the numbers worked out pretty nicely. I don't know if that's going to be the case for the homework, but for the most part, I think it should work out nicely. All right, here is our final example, but it is kind of extensive, but it brings everything we've learned all together. Here's our function. F of x is equal to 3x squared plus 18x plus 32. All right, it is a quadratic equation, which means it's going to be a parabola, and it is in standard form. First thing I want you to do is find the vertex, and then find the axis of symmetry. Find them if it's a max or a min, domain, and the range. and you have to graph it. That's everything we've learned so far. So it's kind of exciting. Let's go ahead and find the vertex first. Remember, vertex is negative b over 2a. And so here we have negative b over 2 times a. Simplify that just a little bit. You should get negative 3. Again, to find the y part, you just plug negative 3 back into the x's, these two. Here it is. I plugged it in the side. When you do that and combine that, you should get the y part, which is 5. So there's our vertex, negative 3, 5. Remember, the axis of symmetry is always that line that cuts your parabola right down the middle, and it's always x equals, because vertical lines are always x equals, and then whatever the x value is. So in this case, x equals negative 3. To know if it's maximum or minimum, remember a maximum parabola looks like that, a minimum parabola looks like that. How do we know which way it goes? You look at the A. If it's a positive A, you'll have a happy face. If it's a negative A, you'll have a sad face. In this case, it's a positive 3, so we have a happy face, which gives us a minimum value. The domain. The domain is how far it goes in the x direction and then actually extends in the x direction forever, all real numbers. And then the range is what's the bottom part of the parabola. And it turns out that it's always going to be, y is going to be greater than or equal to 5. Here's what the graph looks like. There's our vertex, negative 3, 5. It is a, oh, and then the axis of symmetry, remember, is that dotted line that cuts it right down the middle. The x equals negative 3, that's that line. And then here's our parabola, happy face. So it goes up and in the x direction forever. And then the range, the y, is from positive 5 and up. And so that's why the range is y is greater than or equal to 5. And then there's our graph. Let me erase some of the markings I made. And that's what we have. Just one equation, but a whole bunch of information. Okay, so you have a handful of these to work on the homework, so go ahead and try it out.